Today I have a very interesting and indeed truly somewhat unusual and remarkably unique guest. He is a doctor, but I invited him to my studio to mainly talk about politics, mainly about American and Ukrainian political matters. I present to you a bit more Oleg Pritula. Oleg, the floor is yours. Introduce yourself, tell us who you are, what you do, and why we are gathered here.
Thank you very much. I am very glad to meet you. Always look for people of common sense, and I consider myself one of them. And I have found another person, a remarkable person, you could say, Len Velensky, who impressed me with his intellect. I say this honestly from the heart. Therefore, I am pleased to communicate with you. I will just tell you a little about myself. So I was born in Lviv, Ukraine. Then I completed medical university. In fact, I spent almost my entire life in Kiev. After medical university, I got involved in dental implantology, practically brought this technique from Sweden 25 years ago. It is a two-stage implantation method. After that, I subsequently created the Association of Implantologists of Ukraine and was involved in both medical practice and the production of the implant device, the tool for implantology. That is, I manufactured the product and taught doctors in various ways, who then performed similar procedures and trained them thoroughly. In 2013, I truly thought about how to make Ukraine better, let's say, uncorrupted and genuinely prosperous in every possible way. And I tried to find people in politics who have common sense. Have always oriented myself towards it. I found the Libertarian Party back in the day. We officially created and successfully registered it, and we even ran in the elections, gaining 1% in the presidential and parliamentary elections. What I know is that people in the post-Soviet space do not understand what libertarianism is and what true freedom is. And I realized that Ukraine will not solve anything in this regard. It is under the control of communist democrats. Therefore, I decided to move to America, to choose victory with conservatives here. And now the next step will be to win in Ukraine. That's a brief summary.
Great. It sounds indeed extremely fascinating. I have a question for you, just out of curiosity. Why libertarianism specifically? The thing is, libertarianism is in line with conservatism and is definitely a worldview of common sense. But, as you know, libertarianism has a rather limited spread in the world because it does not attract everyone. Unfortunately, a large part of our population in any country feels more comfortable within the framework of paternalism, meaning when the state mainly solves the problems of these people. How did you come to libertarianism in the beginning?
Look, well, libertarianism, first of all, is in essence the concept of freedom.
Freedom. You have probably read Ayn Rand.
Yes, Ayn Rand, Mises, Hayek. So these are basically the foundations of libertarianism. And interestingly, almost 100 years ago, Hayek and Mises indeed loudly declared this issue. And it turns out that the state is the main problem of humanity. That is, if we take the last 500 years over the extensive course of history, from monarchy, when one monarch and structure ruled, humanity received approximately collective governance through parties and all these structures. And thus it has, let's say, in a way become more complicated, but it is clear that it is to some extent a problem. And the problem is the dominance of the state in every country. I believe that there are about 200 countries in the world, and in each country, they exploit their people in their own way. And then, having large resources, they also create wars. That's what it comes to in the end.
Let's return to our country, Ukraine, the country of our greatest interest. Please tell me, how ready is Ukraine in terms of its population structure, including demographics and social dynamics, existing legal system, covering laws and regulations, and the state of officials, referring to their efficiency and readiness to at least perceive, I'm not even talking about implementing, the nuanced theory of libertarianism.
I absolutely and undoubtedly firmly believe that this can be done because I am comparing it now with America at this moment. America has now jumped directly from socialism to libertarianism, because at the top of the government are three libertarians. I strongly believe they are Trump, Vivek Ramaswamy, and Elon Musk. And in my opinion, this can be said to be a trigger for it to happen in other countries. And Ukraine is a good blank slate on which libertarianism can be built, as it offers a unique opportunity for experimentation in political and economic systems that align with libertarian principles, but very radically. So just imagine that the elections will be in approximately a year from now in Ukraine. I think that perhaps, maybe, what scenario do I have regarding Ukraine? Trump will now bring an end to the war. That is, in order to stop shooting and bring about a lasting peace. I think that Zelensky will be instructed to go for elections for both the president and the parliament. Next year, let's say, in the fall, and until that time, yes.
I want to a little bit more cool your, I wouldn't call it youthful, but rather optimistic and spirited optimism, and vibrant.
Yes.
And I think that everything will not be so easy. I want you to understand that even in the United States, the ideas of libertarianism, look at the numbers of voters for the Libertarian Party. I personally think that our great Republican Party still indeed has a very long way to go from being anti-Trumpism, and in fact, at the very least, to being pro-Trumpism, and then from there to a form of libertarianism. Ramaswamy and Musk, of course, they are libertarians. But if you notice, if you look closely at them, they are libertarians with a somewhat, at least Musk, left-leaning tint, a light, pinkish one. So everything is not so bright. You say Trump will tell Zelensky, let's end the war. But the end of the war actually, in reality, is dependent about 10% on Zelensky and 90% on Putin.
I would say 99% on Putin and 1% on Zelensky.
Well, I try to be more, so to speak, envious.
I understand, but I think it is absolutely real, because what America has won the presidential elections now, and we have, fortunately, President Trump. This preceded several countries before this. That is, Argentina, Javier Milei became the first libertarian president, then Nayib Bukele, El Salvador. He was earlier, let's say, he just didn't go with such libertarian slogans, but he quickly set order in the country, kicked out all that Soros scum, and got results immediately. Now America, that is, all the following countries will find it much easier to become libertarian, because America has already shown an example that this is basically real. And I would like to emphasize that I want to say that Vivek Ramaswamy, Elon Musk, and Trump, influential figures such as these, are now structurally rising above the two-party system, because with this system they have strategically organized themselves in such a way that they will, in a significant manner, exert a considerable amount of pressure on these parties from above, thereby altering the traditional dynamics of political influence rather than begging someone from below.
Don't forget, indeed, we are with you in Ukraine, our imagined position in Ukraine. Both Argentina and even El Salvador have a history, a long history of democratic transformations, democratic governance, and the transfer of power through elections. Ukraine has such a history only since 1991. In historical terms, this is a very short period. Furthermore, Ukraine is opposed to Trump. In addition, the Ukrainian press is also opposed to Trump. Ukrainian voters are anti-Trump. Moreover, corruption has somewhat spoiled them, as Bulgakov said. Ukrainians are inherently good people, but corruption has, to some extent, somewhat spoiled them.
Yes, I indeed agree with you in this sense, but I would like to add that this corruption was created by the Democratic Party as well. It's like a hybrid of the Soviet system plus the influence of the Democratic Party to create such an impact in a way. And considering that the conservative wing and libertarian wing are currently holding power in the political landscape in America, I would say it will be a bit easier for Ukraine to navigate, because here, just as I think Soros will be quickly removed from the arena, the same will have to be done in Ukraine, in the United States.
Soros is a very serious figure, and removing him from the arena will not be so easy. Moreover, look, the main problem for Ukraine right now is not democracy or elections at all. This is all, in many different ways, a very problematic and potentially even more complex future situation. At the undeniable forefront is the elephant in the room that we do not notice. It is the ongoing war. Ukrainians are dying every single minute. Russians are also dying every minute, but this does not concern anyone in the Russian government. Unfortunately, the war needs to be stopped, and Ukrainians will face a very deadly choice. Human lives, the death of Ukrainian soldiers versus giving up, exchanging their lives for territory. This is a difficult and heart-wrenching choice no one would want to confront. Think about the mothers of Ukrainian soldiers, their wives, children, and loved ones. The feeling of what is happening in Ukraine cries out, "Stop the war." And here is how to effectively and successfully resolve this contradiction in order to choose between to give up territory in order to save the lives of people. This is ultimately and essentially the plan. What do you think about this, in your opinion?
Well, I think that, of course, Ukraine will not take back the territory now. That is clear. Stopping the war will give Ukraine the opportunity and vital freedom to choose a direction to move in at this crucial moment in time. Because if it remains a Soviet-style state, of course, the terrorist Putin will return and will attack again. The only way to make Ukraine invulnerable is to become so free for business, that even Elon Musk, the renowned entrepreneur and visionary behind companies like Tesla and SpaceX, would want to build several factories there. This would be better than nuclear missiles, because where Elon Musk has business, there is no war, only prosperity and innovation.
Oleg, Elon Musk is a very smart person. He is a philanthropist, but not to that extent. As long as there is a real threat of a repeat invasion by Russia, Elon Musk will engage in significant philanthropy, but there will be no talk of major, serious investments in Ukraine.
Elon Musk will definitely gladly pull the rug out from under Soros. He is his main enemy. And after that, he will be interested in Ukraine, for example, to build a factory for Neuralink robots that will rehabilitate, such as our soldiers and affected people. I think this is what he really wants, and perhaps even more so.